It's just after 3:30 on August 15th, 2025 as I'm recording this, and the radar shows some much needed rainfall is in the process of working its way through eastern Newfoundland. Tonight's forecast is brought to you by Heat Pump Solutions. Beat the heat and get a mini split from Heat Pump Solutions. Visit heatpumpsolutions.ca. The rain we're seeing now is going to break that heat as a cold front is moving through. This video comes to us from Bell Island. Listen to that rain and Tess Ackerman.
Rain, baby, rain.
That rain is certainly a very good thing, and some of that is even falling over the burn areas around the Kingston Fire and earlier today over the Martin Lake Fire. Speaking of both, let's delve into the latest details on those. This is the latest estimated perimeter and hot spots of the Kingston Fire from the Canadian Wildfire Information Service. And you can see here we are looking at lots of stars there indicating that the fire has been very active on this north flank and the west flank here in the last 24 hours or so. Now, for the last 24 hours, the wind has been blowing that smoke generally this way from the southwest to the northeast, and that's why it sounds like the actioning from the air has been very difficult in this part of the fire, but has been ongoing down in this part of the fire, which is burning quite far inland. The fire right now is 9,000 hectares in size, roughly. And just to give you some perspective, that's roughly 8 kilometers wide by 17 kilometers long. That's almost bigger, or it is bigger rather, than Bell Island. Now we'll take a look at the high resolution forecast for this area over the coming days, and these arrows represent where the wind direction is coming from and blowing to. So as we get into this evening, the wind is going to switch and go from west to north to almost due north over the next roughly 24 hours or so, which means the smoke is going to get blown down to the south and then eventually over to the Trinity Bay side of the Avalon on Sunday as those winds swing around to the east. And so what that means is the smoke is going to get blown this way, and so the actioning of the fire should be able to finally take place in this area towards Smooth Cove and Northern Bay over the weekend, assuming skies are clear, which they should be. But remember, when it comes to aircraft flying around these fires, the pilots need to be able to see the ground and each other. So it's very, very challenging sometimes, especially when there's a lot of smoke around. And that may be the case as well as temperatures cool down and the fire will not burn effectively, or as efficiently rather, which can sometimes produce a fair bit of smoke. But fingers crossed that can get actioned over the weekend. That being said, the air quality south of this fire and to the west of this fire is likely going to be impacted as those winds swing around. So something to kind of keep in mind. Looking at the Martin Lake Fire, that fire is now over 2,000 hectares in size, 2160, no growth in the last 24 hours, and it looks like it's still just to the west of the Bay d'Espoir Highway. And the Paddy's Pond Fire, no growth either in the last 24 hours, 306 hectares in size. And some good news that the evacuation order that was in effect for the Three Island Pond area was lifted this afternoon by the municipality of Paradise. The weather pattern that brought us all this hot weather was essentially a heat dome, or a ridge of high pressure centered right over Newfoundland, Labrador, and Atlantic Canada. This was pretty much the pattern going back to last week. It was hot, it was dry, we had record temperatures on Wednesday, shattering records, in fact, for many areas on Wednesday. Now going forward, we're getting into a different weather pattern, almost a flip-flop of the pattern, where it's not going to be as hot, it's going to be closer to normal, and we'll see more chances for showers and rain, but not the widespread kind of stratiform rain that I think a lot of us want. But here's your 7-day forecast for the Avalon. Notice upper teens, low 20s the whole way through, with some rain chances in there, so certainly a good thing there. And this is going to be a good thing because when temperatures are cooler, any wildfire that's burning cannot burn as effectively. So while it might not necessarily be out, the fires, in theory at least, should be easier to fight as we go throughout the weekend and next week. At least that is my hope. Speaking of fighting those fires, we have some rain right now right over the Paddy's Pond area. And as we move around a little bit, it looks like the rain has exited the Avalon Peninsula north or the Bay de Verde Peninsula, but we did see some earlier And we are watching a cold front beginning to work its way through, and that front is going to bring some much cooler temperatures as we go into tonight and especially tomorrow, and it's behind this rain. We're really going to notice that. Also looks like we're seeing a good bit of rain right now and some shower and storm activity. Looks like over the Bonavista Vista Bay area, just kind of west of the, I guess, northern side of the Bonavista Vista Peninsula. Wider picture showing some clearing already working into the west coast after the rain you had this morning. And then we're seeing some clear skies in Labrador as well as another area of high pressure builds in behind the cold front. But it's going to be more of a fall-like air mass behind this front than the very, I guess, mainlandy-ish weather pattern and air mass that we were in before this front or ahead of it. So we're looking at future temperatures now over the weekend, and what you'll see is it's going to turn cooler. By tomorrow morning, look at that. 12 degrees in St. John's, 6 degrees in Springdale, 5 degrees in Goose Bay tomorrow morning, and throughout the day tomorrow, temperatures don't recover much. We're talking about mid to upper teens at most on the island, teens and 20s in Labrador. And when you're looking at temperatures like this, even if it's sunny and dry, cool temperatures make fires burn much, much slower than very hot temperatures, because that's just a facet of how these things work. As we go into Sunday morning, look at that, 4 degrees in Grand Falls, Windsor. Open the windows, get the house, feeling much, much cooler. Hopefully the air quality is not too bad, although kind of right around those fires, we may be dealing with some poor air quality at times over the weekend. And then looking ahead to Sunday evening, temperatures for eastern Newfoundland still in the teens, and then 20s central and west, as winds are not going to be directly on shore. But the cooler air, I think, is welcome by many. So future radar and cloud cover will show that we're looking at a quiet night once that works offshore tonight in Labrador. Tomorrow, a few showers working through. As we go into Sunday, beautiful on the island, lots of sunshine, but it is going to be a bit of a cool day. And then we see some showers and some rain working through southeastern Labrador Sunday afternoon. And it looks like as that works to the island, we may see a few showers Sunday night, Monday, but it kind of fizzles as it makes its way eastward. So here's your forecast for the weekend on the island, looking brilliant both days for the most part, although in the east, a little bit cloudy Saturday morning, damp as well, but sunshine returns by the afternoon. And then we're looking at teens and 20s across the rest of Newfoundland on Saturday. And as we take a peek into Labrador, we're going to be seeing temperatures as well into the teens and 20s over the weekend, but it looks like a better chance of showers for much of the Big Land on Sunday, especially around Churchill Falls and Happy Valley Goose Bay. Now beyond that, our attention is going to turn to this. This is now Hurricane Erin. Winds are sustained 120 kilometers per hour, gusting 150. That makes it a Category 1 hurricane, moving west at 27 kilometers per hour, which is actually pretty fast for a hurricane. Over the next 5 days or so, Erin is going to maintain this kind of west-northwest track and is forecast to become a major hurricane, it looks like by Sunday, as a Category 3. Anything over a Category 3 is a major hurricane. The question is, where is it going to go once we get past Wednesday? Because I know a lot of folks are starting to ask if it's going to impact the weather in Atlantic Canada or Newfoundland and Labrador. And right now, if we look at the old spaghetti lines, I show these all the time because what this gives you is a real good idea of where the storm may track even in the long range, because where they're clustered, there's agreement in the modeling. And right now, there's real good agreement that Erin is going to stay to the southeast of Newfoundland, could still be a hurricane, and that will be toward the middle to later part of next week. Right now it looks like Thursday or Friday, but that timing can change. Often it gets moved up a little bit as we get closer. But the overwhelming consensus right now is that it will remain southeast of Newfoundland. Is that a lock? Absolutely not. Is it something I'm going to watch closely over the weekend and next week? Absolutely, so stay tuned for that. I'll have weather updates over the weekend as needed. Until then, have a very good Friday night and stay safe.